Behind the glittering premieres of British show business between the 1960s and 1990s lay secrets darker than any script. Many beloved stars did not just rely on talent to secure their luxurious lives. They used cold calculation, binding influential patrons to their side through unexpected airs and carefully guarded whispers. Today, we reveal 10 astonishing stories of strategic romance and survival. Which of these clever moves shocks you the most? Tell us in the comments and subscribe to our channel to uncover more hidden truths of the elite. Christine Keeler. The glittering facade of London in the early 1960s was a playground for the incredibly wealthy and the fiercely ambitious. For a young woman escaping a bleak provincial upbringing, the dazzling lights of the cabaret offered an escape, but she quickly realized that true power lay in the shadows. She possessed a captivating beauty, yet her most dangerous weapon was her sharp, calculating mind. She observed how the most formidable men in the country became utterly vulnerable behind closed doors. She was introduced to high society through a well-connected socialite doctor, quickly becoming a fixture at exclusive aristocratic gatherings. It was here that she caught the eye of the British Secretary of State for War, a man of immense influence and impeccable public standing. Rather than simply basking in his wealth and attention, she began to carefully weave a safety net for herself. She understood that in the ruthless circles of the elite, a young woman was easily discarded unless she held collateral. While entertaining the minister, she also formed a secret attachment to a senior naval attaché from a rival global superpower. This incredibly dangerous balancing act was not merely a reckless thrill, but a highly strategic accumulation of leverage. She carefully preserved handwritten letters, small gifts, and mental records of their private conversations. She knew that these powerful figures would go to extreme lengths to protect their reputations and their carefully constructed public images. The turning point arrived when a completely separate altercation involving another romantic interest brought the authorities to her doorstep. Sensing that the political establishment would inevitably try to silence her to protect their prominent minister, she refused to play the role of the quiet victim. She boldly brought her hidden evidence into the light, letting the power brokers know exactly what she possessed. Her collection of secret letters suddenly became an incredibly lucrative insurance policy. Recognizing the astronomical value of her story, she masterfully manipulated the national press, igniting a fierce bidding war for her memoirs. She did not release all her secrets at once, choosing instead to drip-feed the scandalous details to maximize her financial return. The men who had once viewed her as a temporary amusement now found themselves completely at her mercy. She demanded and received vast sums of money, securing her financial future through sheer unadulterated social leverage. The carefully calculated release of her information triggered a catastrophic chain of events that shattered the British government in 1963. The minister was forced into a humiliating public denial, followed by a devastating resignation when her undeniable proof surfaced. She watched from her newly acquired position of wealth as the political landscape of the nation fractured entirely. Her calculated actions proved that a well-placed whisper could bring down an entire establishment. Ultimately, she transformed a situation designed to ruin her into a triumph of cynical survival. While the men involved faced absolute ruin and disgrace, she capitalized on her notoriety, proving to be a formidable architect of her own destiny. Her story remains a chilling masterclass in leveraging the weaknesses of powerful men. She cemented her legacy not just as a beautiful face of the era, but as a brilliant strategist who weaponized her romantic entanglements to conquer high society. Antonia de Sancha. In the early 1990s, the British public was captivated by a moderately successful actress who realized that the greatest drama did not happen under the theatre spotlights, but behind the heavily guarded doors of Westminster. She understood that a fleeting romantic liaison with a powerful figure could be transformed into a highly lucrative lifetime pension if handled with cold, calculating precision. She bypassed the stage and aimed straight for the most powerful men in the country. She set her sights on a highly prominent government minister, a man who held immense sway over the cultural and political landscape of the nation. Through a carefully orchestrated series of social maneuvers, she managed to captivate his attention, drawing him into a deeply secretive and intense private relationship. He was completely mesmerized by her bohemian charm and theatrical flair, entirely unaware that he was stepping into a meticulously designed and highly profitable snare. Unlike those who merely hoped for a quiet financial settlement or a permanent ring, she approached her high-profile affair with the ruthless efficiency of a seasoned business executive. She knew that the political establishment would quickly crush her word against his if their arrangement ever came to light. Therefore, she needed undeniable, concrete proof of his indiscretions to ensure that she held all the commanding cards when the inevitable time came to cash in on her romantic investment. In a move of staggering audacity, she collaborated with a notorious media publicist to turn her own London apartment into an elaborate surveillance trap. She secretly allowed eager tabloid journalists to install hidden recording devices throughout her private quarters. Every time her influential patron visited, whispering foolish promises and engaging in highly embarrassing private antics, the tapes were silently spinning, capturing the ultimate leverage that would soon guarantee her absolute fortune. She played the role of the devoted and discreet companion flawlessly for months, all while quietly compiling an extensive archive of devastating audio evidence. When she had gathered enough material to completely obliterate his prestigious career, she struck a phenomenal financial deal with a major Sunday newspaper. She sold out the man who trusted her completely, exchanging her carefully documented romantic secrets for an astonishing sum of money that dwarfed her entire acting salary combined. The resulting scandal erupted in 1992, sending absolute shockwaves through the conservative government of the day. The deeply humiliating details of their private encounters were plastered across the front pages of every national newspaper, leaving the minister with absolutely no room for denial. The immense public pressure and the sheer embarrassment of the undeniable audio recordings forced him into a highly spectacular and deeply degrading resignation, shattering his political life. While the minister watched his life's work dissolve in an ocean of public ridicule, she emerged from the wreckage as a remarkably wealthy woman. She did not express a single ounce of regret for her devastating betrayal, instead leveraging her sudden notoriety to secure further highly paid television appearances and exclusive magazine interviews. Her brilliantly executed scheme proved that a sharply calculated scandal could be the most profitable and secure career move an actress could ever make. Marsha Hunt. In the late 1960s, the vibrant London theatrical scene was dominated by a spectacular performer who quickly made Britain her permanent home. She became the defining face of a massive cultural revolution, starring in groundbreaking stage musicals and gracing the covers of prominent magazines. However, beneath her bohemian and carefree public image lay a deeply practical mind that recognized the fleeting nature of theatrical fame and the absolute necessity of securing a stable future. She became romantically entangled with the absolute most famous and wealthiest rock star in the country, a man whose band was entirely reshaping the global musical landscape. While other women in his orbit were merely content to attend his extravagant parties and enjoy the temporary glamour, she was carefully calculating a much more permanent arrangement. She understood that a famous musician could easily abandon a companion, but a biological tie would be incredibly difficult to sever entirely. In a highly strategic move that she later discussed with startling honesty, she deliberately made the decision to conceive a child with her highly influential and famously elusive lover. She knew perfectly well that he was utterly opposed to a permanent domestic commitment and had absolutely no intention of settling down in any traditional sense. Yet she proceeded with her calculated plan, ensuring that her financial future would be inextricably linked to his immense and ever-growing fortune. When the child was born in 1970, the musician predictably attempted to distance himself from the situation, initially refusing to publicly acknowledge his new responsibilities. However, she was entirely prepared for this reaction and immediately launched a highly publicized and deeply embarrassing legal campaign against him. She did not hesitate to drag his name through the courts, utilizing the immense power of the tabloid media to paint him as an irresponsible and wealthy coward. She demanded a substantial financial settlement to secure a luxurious life for herself and her offspring, implicitly threatening to release highly intimate details of their life if her demands were ignored. The rock star, terrified of the continuous negative publicity and the potential damage to his highly lucrative career, was eventually forced to surrender. She secured a massive financial arrangement that guaranteed her absolute comfort and enduring stability for the rest of her natural life. By using a child as the ultimate anchor, she brilliantly bypassed the traditional route of demanding marriage, choosing instead a legally enforceable financial bond that could never be broken. She transformed a temporary musical romance into a permanent lifetime pension, outsmarting a man who was notorious for his ruthlessness in both business and personal matters. Her deeply cynical but undeniably brilliant strategy proved that biological ties were the most powerful form of leverage available. She continued her artistic career on her own terms, completely free from the financial anxieties that plagued so many of her theatrical contemporaries as they slowly aged out of the industry. Her legacy is deeply complex, remembered both as a striking cultural icon of her era and as a fiercely pragmatic woman who refused to be left behind. She masterfully played the highest stakes game in British show business and won, cementing her financial independence through one brilliantly calculated move. Mandy Rice Davies. Stepping out of the shadow of her more infamous colleague, this striking 1960s cabaret performer and aspiring actress viewed a catastrophic national crisis not as a tragedy, but as her ultimate audition. She navigated the treacherous waters of high society with an astonishingly cool detachment, fully aware that proximity to immense political power was a highly tradable commodity. She understood early on that a clever woman could extract vast fortunes from the absolute ruin of arrogant men. When the devastating political upheaval finally erupted, threatening to engulf absolutely everyone connected to the disgraced government ministers, she categorically refused to play the role of a frightened or silent victim. Instead, she took to the courtroom witness stand with a phenomenal level of theatrical confidence, delivering legendary razor-sharp responses that completely disarmed the prosecution. Her incredible defiance instantly transformed her into a highly sought-after national sensation. She brilliantly capitalized on her newly acquired and immense infamy, immediately launching a highly lucrative career in television, film, and theatrical productions across the country. She knew perfectly well that the wealthy and powerful men who had previously enjoyed her company were absolutely terrified of what else she might publicly reveal. She cleverly used this unspoken threat as a form of powerful, invisible leverage, ensuring that the establishment doors remained wide open for her advancement. Rather than fading into quiet obscurity, once the initial shock of the headlines wore off, she strategically parlayed her dangerous reputation into a sprawling, highly profitable entertainment and hospitality empire. She opened incredibly successful nightclubs and highly exclusive restaurants, heavily financed by nervous patrons who strongly preferred to keep her on their favorable side. She effortlessly manipulated the persistent fear of exposure into a solid foundation for absolute financial security. She went on to secure a series of highly advantageous marriages to incredibly wealthy international businessmen, completely reinventing her public persona with every single passing decade. Her remarkable journey from a controversial cabaret dancer to an aristocratic lady of immense wealth proved that scandal, when handled with absolute cynical precision, was the greatest career catalyst of all. She built a colossal fortune entirely founded upon the carefully managed and deeply hidden secrets of the elite. Her enduring legacy remains a deeply fascinating testament to the sheer power of calculated audacity in the face of absolute social ruin. She never once apologized for utilizing the glaring vulnerabilities of powerful figures to elevate her own standing in a deeply unequal and unforgiving society. By utterly refusing to be silenced or shamed by the furious establishment, she successfully rewrote the ultimate rules of survival, turning a potentially devastating situation into a magnificent lifelong triumph. James Hewitt. In the middle of the 1990s, a former military officer transformed himself into a highly prominent and controversial media star by committing the ultimate act of cynical betrayal. He possessed a dashing charm and an aristocratic demeanor that allowed him to effortlessly infiltrate the highest and most heavily guarded levels of the British establishment. However, beneath his polished and gentlemanly exterior lay a deeply opportunistic mind that viewed romance as a lucrative transaction. He managed to secure the affections of the most famous and photographed woman in the world, initiating a highly secretive relationship that took place entirely behind palace walls. While she sought genuine emotional comfort and an escape from her highly suffocating royal duties, he was already calculating the astronomical future value of their forbidden connection. He meticulously kept every single handwritten note, personal gift, and intimate memento, building a highly valuable hidden archive. When the intense romantic liaison eventually concluded and the palace quietly moved to distance him from their circles, he categorically refused to accept a life of quiet obscurity. He realized that the deeply intimate knowledge he possessed was a formidable weapon, capable of inflicting catastrophic damage upon the most powerful institution in the country. He cynically decided to monetize his memories, collaborating on a highly explosive book that detailed every aspect of their private time. This initial literary betrayal brought him immense global notoriety and a substantial financial windfall, but his true and most devastating act of calculated extortion was yet to come. Years later, he openly threatened to sell a large collection of incredibly personal handwritten letters sent to him during the height of their relationship. He aggressively shopped these private documents around the international media market, placing a staggering multi-million-pound price tag on his total silence. He effectively held the entire royal establishment hostage, using the deeply emotional letters as a blatant instrument of high-stakes blackmail to maintain his luxurious lifestyle. He knew perfectly well that the sheer embarrassment and potential public relations disaster contained within those fragile pages would force the establishment into a corner. He displayed an astonishing lack of empathy, treating the deeply personal expressions of a vulnerable woman as nothing more than tradable assets. Although public outrage eventually thwarted the open auction of the letters, he continued to leverage his notorious reputation to secure highly paid appearances on reality television programs. He completely abandoned any pretense of honor, embracing his role as the ultimate cynical villain of the 1990s British media landscape. He successfully transformed a temporary royal romance into a permanent and highly profitable career, proving that absolute ruthlessness could indeed pay incredibly well for those willing to cross the line. John Bindon. A menacing presence on the cinematic screen, this rugged actor effortlessly blurred the lines between his fictional gangster roles and his highly dangerous real life. In the late 1970s, he managed to infiltrate the most exclusive aristocratic circles, catching the eye of a deeply rebellious and highly prominent member of the British royal family. He saw this astonishing opportunity not as a fairy tale romance, but as the ultimate chance to solidify his untouchable societal status. He was invited to a highly secluded Caribbean island, a luxurious haven where the most elite members of society could engage in forbidden behavior away from the prying lenses of the press. He made sure to absolutely captivate the royal princess, establishing a deeply intimate connection that provided him with an invisible shield against his numerous legal troubles back in London. He brazenly used his new aristocratic ties to intimidate his underworld rivals and demand immense respect. While parading as a successful cinematic star, he meticulously collected highly compromising photographs and deeply personal memories of their secret island liaisons. He understood perfectly well that a man with a notorious violent reputation could easily be discarded by the establishment, but a man who held the most delicate secrets of the monarchy possessed an incredible form of invisible leverage. He carefully cultivated an aura of danger, letting everyone know who protected him from above. As the 1980s approached, his acting career began to significantly falter, and his violent tendencies finally led to a highly publicized criminal trial that completely destroyed his remaining professional reputation. Although he was ultimately acquitted, the film industry entirely turned its back on him, leaving him desperate for immediate financial resources. It was at this exact moment that he cynically decided to weaponize his carefully guarded royal secrets for massive profit. He ruthlessly approached the highest bidding tabloid newspapers, offering to sell completely unfiltered accounts of his intimate time with the vulnerable princess. He traded away her deeply misplaced trust for a substantial financial payout, perfectly illustrating that his previous declarations of loyalty were nothing more than a carefully constructed illusion. The resulting media explosion caused immense embarrassment for the royal institution, while temporarily restoring his dwindling bank balance. Despite his calculated betrayal, the financial windfall was relatively short-lived, and he spent his final years boasting about his royal conquest to anyone who would listen in local London establishments. He completely failed to regain his former cinematic glory, but he forever secured his notoriety as a ruthless opportunist who successfully blackmailed the highest echelons of British society. He ultimately proved that in the gritty underbelly of show business, absolutely nothing was considered sacred. Norman Scott. In the early 1960s, the rigid structure of the British political establishment was completely unprepared for a young, striking equestrian model who understood the immense power of a forbidden secret. He possessed a charismatic, unpredictable energy that drew the attention of a highly ambitious and deeply closeted political leader. Recognizing the immense vulnerability of this prominent figure, the young man deliberately cultivated an intense and highly clandestine relationship. While his influential patron viewed their hidden arrangement as a temporary and dangerous thrill, the young model saw it as a permanent insurance policy against a life of poverty. He meticulously preserved deeply affectionate handwritten letters that explicitly detailed their illicit connection, fully aware that such documentation could instantly destroy a political career. He locked these highly sensitive documents away, quietly transforming his romantic memories into an explosive arsenal. When the political leader inevitably attempted to end their private association and distance himself from the growing risk, the discarded lover categorically refused to simply disappear into the shadows. He began a relentless campaign of psychological pressure, constantly demanding financial support, official government documents, and public recognition of his status. He cleverly weaponized the sheer terror of public exposure, ensuring his former partner remained in a state of absolute panic. Throughout the 1970s, as his former patron miraculously ascended to the very highest ranks of national political leadership, the relentless demands for money and security drastically escalated. The model deliberately confronted prominent political colleagues, whispering highly dangerous truths that threatened to completely derail the entire political establishment. He masterfully used the deeply ingrained societal prejudices of the era as his primary instrument of cruel extortion. Driven to absolute desperation by the continuous and terrifying blackmail, the political elite allegedly orchestrated a highly bungled attempt to permanently silence the troublesome former lover. This spectacular failure only served to catapult the entirely hidden scandal onto the front pages of every major national newspaper in 1979. The deeply cynical strategy of preserving those initial romantic letters ultimately brought down one of the most powerful men in the country. During the highly sensationalized criminal trial that completely captivated the nation, he took the witness stand with an astonishing level of theatrical confidence and unabashed defiance. He completely refused to be shamed for his survival tactics, openly detailing the immense financial and emotional leverage he had relentlessly applied over the decades. He traded his absolute silence for national infamy, effectively securing his permanent place in the darkest annals of political history. Although he never achieved the traditional respectability or vast wealth he initially sought, his utterly ruthless pursuit of leverage forever altered the landscape of British journalism and politics. He proved that an individual with absolutely no official power could completely dismantle the establishment if they possessed the right leverage. His astonishingly calculated campaign remains a definitive masterclass in how forbidden romance can be cynically transformed into an indestructible weapon. Mandy Smith. In the mid-1980s, the British tabloid press was completely dominated by a young, striking model who brilliantly transformed a deeply controversial relationship into a highly lucrative entertainment career. She possessed an angelic face, but operated with a staggering level of calculating pragmatism, carefully guided by her deeply ambitious family. She set her sights on a profoundly wealthy and world-famous rock musician who was several decades her senior. Rather than keeping this highly unconventional and legally perilous romance a closely guarded secret, she and her management deliberately weaponized the sheer shock value of their connection. They understood that the musician, a central figure in a legendary British band, possessed immense wealth and a fierce desire to protect his public legacy. By systematically leaking carefully curated details to the eager press, she ensured he could never easily discard her without facing total ruin. As the intense media scrutiny reached a fever pitch, she brilliantly positioned herself as a prominent cultural figure rather than a mere footnote in his extensive romantic history. She leveraged the continuous front-page coverage to launch her own highly publicized pop music career, releasing singles and heavily promoted music videos. She used his immense fame as an undeniable springboard, effectively transforming the enormous public outrage into a highly profitable personal enterprise. By the late 1980s, the relentless pressure of the public spotlight and the continuous subtle threats of further sensational revelations forced his hand entirely. In 1989, he agreed to a highly extravagant and deeply publicized marriage ceremony, effectively locking himself into a legally binding financial contract. This spectacular event was less of a romantic triumph and far more of a brilliantly executed corporate merger designed to secure her absolute future. The marriage itself was predictably short-lived, collapsing under the immense weight of its own cynical foundations after barely 2 years. However, this inevitable separation was entirely part of the broader strategic calculation, as she immediately initiated proceedings for a substantial financial settlement. She walked away from the dissolved union in 1991 with an astonishing fortune, having successfully monetized the darkest vulnerabilities of an aging rock and roll icon. She did not simply retreat into quiet wealth following the highly lucrative divorce, but continued to exploit her controversial history for maximum financial gain. She published highly sensationalized memoirs that detailed the most intimate aspects of their complex dynamic, ensuring that her former husband remained a captive to her ongoing narrative. She maintained a firm grip on the public imagination, participating in lucrative reality television and heavily compensated media appearances. Her extraordinary journey from a controversial teenage model to a remarkably wealthy independent woman perfectly illustrates the immense power of calculated media manipulation. She completely outsmarted a seasoned industry veteran, using the immense power of the tabloid press and the rigid structures of marital law as her ultimate weapons of extraction. She cemented her unique legacy as a brilliant strategist who successfully transformed a fleeting scandal into an indestructible financial empire. Sarah Keyes, operating within the highly secretive corridors of Westminster in the early 1980s, a fiercely intelligent and deeply ambitious parliamentary secretary, proved that absolute proximity to power could be weaponized. She did not possess the glamour of a traditional cinematic star, but she thoroughly understood the immense vulnerabilities of the British political elite. She initiated an intensely passionate and highly classified relationship with a profoundly influential cabinet minister. This prominent politician was widely considered a future national leader, a man whose career depended entirely upon an immaculate public image and a traditional family background. While he viewed their ongoing arrangement as a manageable indiscretion, she was carefully plotting a far more permanent elevation in her social standing. She categorically refused to remain a hidden companion in the shadows, demanding that he completely dismantle his existing life to formally marry her immediately. When the minister continuously hesitated and offered empty promises to delay the inevitable, she enacted a deeply calculated and profoundly irreversible strategy. In 1983, she announced that she was expecting his child, effectively placing a highly visible and biological ticking clock upon his prestigious political career. She brilliantly understood that a child could not be easily covered up or dismissed by the wealthy establishment without causing a catastrophic uproar. Desperate to contain the rapidly escalating crisis, the politician offered substantial financial arrangements and pleaded for absolute silence, desperately hoping to preserve his ministerial position. However, she was not merely seeking a comfortable payoff. She demanded total public validation and the absolute destruction of his marital facade. When he ultimately confessed that he would never leave his wife, she immediately transformed her profound heartbreak into an instrument of ruin. Displaying an astonishing level of cynical calculation, she deliberately timed her explosive public revelations to coincide with the most important political conference of the entire year. She bypassed traditional back channels and went directly to the national press, providing them with undeniably detailed accounts of their long-standing connection. Her flawlessly executed media strike completely obliterated his carefully constructed reputation in front of the entire watching nation. The immediate fallout was absolutely spectacular, forcing his deeply humiliating and highly publicized resignation from the government cabinet, permanently destroying his dreams of ultimate leadership. She did not stop at a mere newspaper interview. She subsequently published a highly sensationalized and intensely detailed book about their affair. She used her meticulously kept private diaries as the ultimate form of literary leverage to ensure his political career remained in permanent ruins. Throughout the remainder of the 1980s and well into the 1990s, she continuously used her unbreakable biological tie to ensure he could never quietly fade away. She pursued relentless legal actions and maintained a highly vocal media presence, completely cementing her status as the ultimate architect of his professional demise. Her breathtakingly ruthless campaign demonstrated exactly how a carefully planned heir could become the most devastating weapon in British society. Pamela Bordes. As the roaring 1980s drew to a close, the sacred halls of the British Parliament were breached by a spectacularly glamorous figure who understood exactly how to monetize high society secrets. A former beauty queen possessing extraordinary ambition, she effortlessly charmed her way into the most secure and prestigious political circles of London. She did not merely want to attend elite gatherings, she intended to weave a complex web of highly influential and deeply vulnerable patrons. She cleverly secured an official research pass to the House of Commons, granting her unprecedented daily access to the most powerful lawmakers in the entire country. Behind this respectable professional facade, she initiated a series of highly secretive and incredibly dangerous liaisons with prominent government ministers and incredibly wealthy national newspaper editors. She meticulously gathered devastating personal knowledge about these establishment figures, treating their secrets as pure gold. She understood that these immensely powerful men were completely blinded by her exotic charm and entirely oblivious to the incredible risk she represented. While they foolishly believed they were simply enjoying discreet and highly sophisticated romantic arrangements, she was carefully documenting every single indiscretion. She systematically compiled an astonishing mental and physical archive of their hidden vulnerabilities, recognizing that this information was her ultimate insurance policy. The intricate and highly lucrative House of Cards spectacularly collapsed in 1989 when a rival publication began investigating her astonishingly complex double life. Realizing that the political establishment would inevitably attempt to silence her and protect their own reputations, she decided to execute a masterclass in cynical self-preservation. She categorically refused to accept the role of a disgraced outcast, choosing instead to aggressively weaponize her secret knowledge. Fleeing to a highly secure and undisclosed location overseas, she initiated a ferocious bidding war amongst the most prominent tabloid newspapers in the nation. She effectively held the entire British political and media establishment completely hostage, threatening to release a devastating cascade of ruined careers if her astronomical financial demands were not immediately met. The sheer panic within the corridors of power was absolutely palpable as desperate men awaited their inevitable public fate. She eventually secured an absolutely staggering financial payout to reveal the intricate details of her high-profile conquests, completely destroying the public reputations of several prominent figures. The resulting scandal was a masterfully orchestrated performance of cynical extraction, proving that she had always viewed her influential lovers merely as highly profitable commodities. She transformed an imminent personal disaster into an incredible fortune with breathtaking and cold precision. Following the massive financial windfall, she completely reinvented herself, stepping entirely away from the toxic British tabloid landscape that she had so brilliantly manipulated. She transitioned into a highly respected and entirely different professional field overseas, leaving behind a completely shattered network of foolish politicians and deeply embarrassed editors. Her astonishing story remains the ultimate testament to the terrifying power of calculated leverage in modern high society circles.